If you will join me in welcoming our Reverend Thomas, I'm sure he has a lesson for us that is going to be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Philip. Divine Creator, Father, Mother God, we come before you once again with open hearts and open minds, seeking thy divine wisdom and guidance in our lives. May that which comes forth from your speaker this day be for the highest and best good of each one that will hear this message. Amen and amen. Good morning. I was led to select another morning writing and as a basis for our lesson and our discussion. This one is from November 30th, 2013. And the initial title of it starts out pretty bold and grand, but then it gets into more practical information. And the title is Ascension. Ascension is a process of moving from one place to another, perhaps even from one dimension to another. Examples are described in the New Testament of the Christian Bible. Yeshua, Jesus, was witnessed after his resurrection by his 11 apostles to rise bodily into the clouds. Is this perhaps another follow in my footsteps? And if I can do this, you can do this too, teaching by his example. How and why to ascend? Exploring these questions brings me to a conclusion I've found myself at for this and other unanswerable questions. My conclusion is the universal goal or quest of all spiritual practice is personal transformation. It is the personal transformation of the individual that accomplishes the best we can and must do here in this earth plane. Will we ascend by quickening, raising our vibration? Yes. Do we ascend to heaven or another dimension? Perhaps. What I do feel most sure about is the path that will prepare us. We must clear the debris from our emotional body. Our soul's agenda determined the circumstances we were to be born into. We each were born into a life ripe with the kind of experiences we would need in order to grow our ever awakening spirit before moving on to the next adventure, whether in a body or not. Polishing facets. An oyster forms a pearl in response to the irritation of the grain of sand. That thing someone has done that disgusts or angers you may well be the next facet you must polish. We no longer feel the need to condemn that which we know through experience. Rather, we feel sympathy and understanding. We have no trouble walking in the other's shoes. We know that could be or has been us at one time. We are not better than them. We now can see that they need help just as we did when in that same place. There are 1,000 facets on the gem of enlightenment, and we must polish them all. How to prepare for the ascension? To be prepared for ascension, I continue to find ways to heal my emotional wounds, to accept forgiveness for emotional wounds I have caused, to open my heart center to greater compassion love, and understanding, and to forgive all who have wounded me emotionally. Most importantly, and perhaps most difficult, is forgiving myself. These steps are real and result in a quickened or raised vibration. Raising my vibration adds a positive force to the mass consciousness and to the earth plane vibration. It is not only the most powerful thing I can contribute, but is the only positive thing I can contribute to the greater good. We'll open for discussion.
Well, I would like to comment on the stress that Reverend Thomas has placed on emotions. He used the term emotional wounds more than once. And, it's our emotions that move us through life. It's our emotions that, when they talk about how the tongue is like a sword, it's piercing, it's those emotions that are pushing those words out. Words can do a great deal for all of us. And it encourages me to always be mindful of the words that I am speaking and the words that I choose and the manner in which I approach them, and that I have to be mindful of the emotions within, because I don't want them to become roiling and then spill out. I feel that was part of the message that he was sharing with us.
I would add that emotion is can also be thought of as the fuel that behind our actions and our words. The same words without emotion, are pretty meaningless. But when charged with emotion, powerful things happen. It's songwriters, at their best, achieve an emotional reaction in the listener, where the lyrics and the way they're presented and the in harmony with the music, the accompanying music, when it evokes an emotional response in the listener is when it is most powerful. That's probably an observable reaction to that power. Unseen is the effect it has on the unfolding of creation, or on what the universe is going to bring to us next. And I feel like what this writing was highlighting was to make us aware, or keep us aware, that how powerful we can be, and to be aware that our emotions, both for good and ill, have an effect. We talked about that earlier with Beth's message. I think we can apply some of this to that, because the anger, when anger is stimulated, that's a very, very powerful emotion, very, very powerful emotion. And what was the suggested counter of that was to gather together and to pray, or to basically provide a higher vibration. And that's what the rest of this message is going to address next, is about the differences between the higher and lower vibrations and how they affect each other. The next part is entitled Protection. Raising my vibration provides insulation from lower vibration entities and energy attacks. Prayers or rituals for protection often provide an ever greater need for protection. It is a request for more protection experiences. There are many prayers, practices, or rituals that can help or that can work, but they work only if it raises your vibration. It is the higher vibration that actually provides the protection and the insulation I desire. The law or nature of things is that lower vibrations cannot penetrate, connect with, or otherwise influence higher vibrations. But higher vibrations do affect lower vibrations and have a transformative effect. A few practical examples. Anger is energetically a low vibration, while love in its many forms is a higher and therefore transformative vibrational energy. When anger is encountered, it will cause a resonance with the fears we may still be holding. That is, we have unfinished business. Like tuning a radio to resonate with a particular station brings it in loud and clear. Anger is most often a reflection of a hidden fear and a most common defense mechanism. It's an early defense against anyone getting close to areas where we feel vulnerable. When we are afraid, we may attack. This is true of humans as well as frightened animals. Michigan blow snake will attempt first to flee, but if cornered, will put on a frightening display, hissing and striking. It's all a bluff the snake puts forth in hopes you won't realize it is not poisonous or fanged like the rattlesnake it mimics. An angry reaction, when confronted with anger, will only escalate and intensify the situation as the similar energies build on each other. It's like putting a fire out by adding more fuel. Add more of the same energy and you will simply get that energy amplified. When you have cleared your emotional baggage, you will be free to choose a response in that moment rather than have an automatic knee-jerk reaction. Someone does A, you do B. Someone else does A, you do B. It goes on until you change whatever causes you to do B. Then when someone does A, you can choose to do B, but also can choose C, D, E, F, etc. Before this emotional baggage is cleared, you can observe that your B reaction is greater than A deserves. This happens when doing A awakens the pain from unfinished business long ago. So the energy of the past adds to the energy of the present, making the B reaction much, much bigger than it should be. This is the past continuing to do damage in the present. What is desired is an appropriate reaction to whatever we encounter. Appropriate means it is only about this moment, so is properly measured and applied. It will have an I would do it again feeling about it compared to an oh God, did I do that again feeling. When I no longer feel the need to defend my vulnerabilities and hide my inner fears, I am free and able to respond to rudeness or angry confrontations with kindness and compassion. It is a direct example of applying a higher vibration to a lower vibration. What happens is then a de-escalation of the situation. The higher energy does not build or strengthen the lower energy. Rather, it transforms it. much as light transforms darkness. This may be what is referred to when the scriptures speak of stilling angry waters. Waters often represent emotions. And where the lamb shall lay down with the lion. Comments, questions?
Well, just the idea of recognizing, the A, you're confronted with A and you respond with, B or C or whichever one you choose. Being calm in the moment, I guess, or even present in the moment to be able to do that. If you don't let the question or whatever it is, make you fly off the handle, like, so to speak, just maybe there's a reason, that you're telling us this right now. I don't know, but it's funny because I thought people seem to be a little bit more testy right now. I'm seeing in my everyday life around me, at work, customers, people are a little more something. They're not coming in warm and fuzzy. So I feel like I need to be aware of that because, I'm not allowed to make my opinions known, but I certainly can try to de-escalate something if something happens to me, and that's in those situations. So I think
it's a great opportunity for
yeah,
you.
yeah,
It's a great opportunity to practice this thing that we talk about.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
there are stages of that as we go through our own healing. And the first stage is that you can't control your reaction. You just do B. And the next one is you want to do B, but you stop yourself.
Yes.
And then eventually, and that's a better place, is when you're truly free of it, you don't even feel the need to do B. It's you can see through the facade that when a very young child is acting out, it may be easier for us to see what's motivating that and address that. But when it's an adult, it's easier to have a reaction of wanting to punch him in the nose than it is to sympathize with whatever it is that's motivating their concern and their need to be angry and belligerent and rude or whatever is actually going on. And you working in retail, my goodness, you're gonna have many times the encounters that the rest of us have, where we're trying to isolate and avoid people. You can't. So
right.
But if you see it as an opportunity, it can change the feeling of the whole experience.
Right.
And not need to take it personally, but it's a chance to serve in your ministry by you're trying to dish this out, but I'm going to give you love right back, and it's just I'm going to be kind to you and courteous and just and silently pray for you. That kind of thing can be really powerful.
And I think even taking this to the next highest level, and maybe, I don't know, I want to bring this up, but taking this to the next highest level in the last 2 weeks with all of these shootings, these people have gone to the next highest level. There is no A or B. There's my way. There's what I'm going to do. And they've gone way past. So, and we're seeing this. It's just every day there's something else. Every day there's something else. And maybe that is contributing to some of this testiness in people that, that they're just, I don't know, I've had thoughts before that some days I feel even a little afraid to even go to work, because who says that somebody's going to come into my store or somebody's not going to, go next door to the hacienda, or they're gonna, who knows where you're gonna be placed, and in that moment, and the moment is just that one moment, and everything changes. So,
But being aware that, having that thought and continuing to entertain it, and when we stand back and look at it from an energetic standpoint, okay, what kind of energy am I contributing to and so it's like, okay, I'm adding fuel to the fire. So, and so that awareness can make us catch ourselves and not go down that road very farther, because it's so easy to just get paranoid. I mean,
It
there's
is.
plenty of
It is.
reason to really be paranoid.
I
So-
try to dispel it when I have it. It's pretty fleeting, but I try to get rid of it and not even dwell on it,
Yeah.
because, you have no idea, but it's always back there that,
Well, yeah.
yeah, most of the time, honestly, most of the time it's not even a thought, but rarely I do worry a little bit about just being out in the world, just in general. It doesn't even have to be my store. I could be in the grocery store. I could be, any of us could be anywhere, and something happened that moment. So
So true.
that's life, but I guess that's life anyway. That's just, without these other things happening, that's life anyway. I mean, anything can
Yeah.
happen.
But the other thing that's also true is you could be at the wrong place at the right time,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and miss the opportunity, or miss the issue that we're fearing. And
Mhm.
so a shift in our energies can make a difference.
Mhm.
And as we really take to heart that what we feel and what we project has an influence on what's unfolding, that's where it becomes really real, because both are potential, and feeling like we contribute to that can impel us to pay more attention to putting out what we want to put out,
Mhm.
when we have an opportunity to think about it, instead of allowing ourselves to unconsciously put it out. Because if it's running around in the back of our mind, we've got to address it. We can't leave it there. And it may be time to sit down and pray about it, or meditate on it, or something that can put it to rest. But if it's running around in the back of our mind, it's continuing to put out those energies. So anyway, the awareness of that is how we change it.
Mhm.
All change begins by awareness.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
So you are aware of the tension that is being experienced. And that's a good thing.
Mhm.
Like Reverend Thomas was saying, awareness is important. And when all else fails, spiritualism has taken all of this down, the highest teachings, all the way down to one word: kindness.
Mhm.
So whenever you're in a situation you don't know what to do, that may be the best thing to rely on, is
Mhm.
something kind.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Yeah, I won't deny the fact that there have been times when confronted with I have gone in my head, like you said, right to be. Right to be, and that's where I want to go. But like you said, I want to do B, but I can't do B, so I have to do something else. So that makes me laugh. Yeah, but see, that's my lesson to learn. Yeah.
Well, that's in that stage, you're more putting up with the situation rather than transforming it. So it's much nicer to transform it. I
Yes.
mean, just imagine the whole thing de-escalating and the person changing right before your eyes in the way they're approaching you. And that can and does happen.
That has happened. Yeah.
And the you know, maybe you have witnessed this, and if you haven't, then when you do, it can have a powerful effect.
Mhm.
And so maybe you have done this a number of times, and I'll remind you about that and let that encourage you to,
Mhm.
you know, do it again and do it
Mhm.
again. If it's
Mhm.
working, you know, do it again. And,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know, it's natural to want to fall back into an old groove. Um, and, uh, and part of us, you know, embraces, you know, all the fear-based stuff. I mean, I think that's how, you know, we evolved and didn't get eaten by saber-toothed lions, you know, hundreds of thousands of years ago. And so that part of us is still there trying to quote unquote protect us. And a higher part of us is trying to, you know, rise above that to a higher calling that, that we're now capable of embracing and in doing. Yes, Sandy.
I just was going to agree with Sharon. For years, I worked in retail, and I was in a position of middle management. So sometimes I would have to be a manager on duty and have to deal with the problems that she's talking about. Because if there was a disgruntled customer, they would call the manager on duty, and I would have to be the one. And just thinking back to what Sharon was saying, I do remember times where I don't remember now if they trained us in this. I don't remember. But the first thing you just do is you just listen. You just let them say everything they're going to say and get it all out. And then, you know, you endeavor to fix it. And de-escalation was the key, absolute key, that you had to do that to get that person down to a level that you could communicate with them. And I do remember now, it's been a long time, but definitely that was the situation. And I always used to feel so relieved that when that person walked away, they were happy, I was happy, a problem was solved, and a customer was saved,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And
Ends up being a win-win.
yeah, yeah, and it was great. And the funny thing too is that if I remember, and Sharon, you probably feel this way too, almost all the time, 99 times out of 100, I think that a problem could be resolved. Definitely could be fixed, and a good win-win would come out of it. So, and I guess how you go into it helps to determine that. But I could totally relate to what Sharon was saying, and I think too that right now in our society, because we've had to be isolated so much, that there isn't, and we all are probably feeling this edginess. We just have a little shorter fuse, just a little shorter tolerance. And so I've noticed, you know, I kind of noticed that too when I go out into the public places. But I just personally, I've tried to just be extra nice, because we have our masks on and people can't see our faces, and they can't tell what we're looking like underneath there. You know, we could have a big scowl on our face, or we could have a big smile, you know. So trying to keep things lighter and be overly appreciative, and maybe not overly, but extra appreciative of things that people do for us. I mean, it's been an interesting transformation to see how people are dealing with these things, these extraordinary times. And emotions certainly play a big part in that. But I think of waitresses and people in the restaurants who are working even though they're exposed to things and they might be afraid, and but they have to do their job and they have to work, and I always try to give them a little extra tip because
Yeah.
but anyway, that's just my feeling about that, is that yeah, everybody's kind of hyper emotional right now, I think, in a way. Maybe it's not always on the surface, but it's kind of there. Mhm.
Interesting how this tragedy, if you want to call it that, this pandemic
Mhm.
has made us, given us a heightened awareness of all kinds of things. And it's actually been very transformative in our society. The number of people working from home is likely never going to go back to the levels, to the low levels it was before. And because for so many professions, it's been clearly demonstrated now that it is a more profitable way to do it than it is to rent office space in order to have people, commute and come into it. May well be a great improvement for many people's lives. I mean, imagine commuting for 2.5 hours in the California traffic to get to an office building that you no longer have to do. I mean, it's like, my goodness, you just got 5 hours of your day back, and the quality of life. So every quote unquote tragedy is going to be a mixed bag, It's the thing you can count on is that things will change, not how they will change.
Any other comments or questions for Reverend Thomas? I'd just like to add that, talk about ascension and raising vibrations and such. The best way to do it is to be kind.